CoastVue.com. And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates every single day the people who make coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. Hey, we've got a great show today. We're going to be joined in the first half by Lee Bond, the Executive Director of Singing River Health Systems. Got a call just before we started the show, say there's going to be a slight delay. Hopefully he'll still join us. If not, we're going to roll anyway. In the second half of the show, we're going to be joined by Scott Waller, who is the president and CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council. I look forward to visiting with him. But before we go any further, let's bring Kyle into the conversation, my partner in crime, and just say good morning. How you doing, Kyle?
Good morning. Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, did you have an opportunity to do any fishing over the weekend?
We did. We went Saturday, and it was you never know what you get when you do pier fishing. And there was some interesting people out on the jetty on Saturday. We'll just leave it at that.
But you're a people watcher. That's fun, isn't it?
I am, but it got to the point where it was ridiculously stupid, and I was almost annoyed. There was families out there that was just really loud and yelling to their whoever they were talking to that's 5 feet away from each other, and you could hear them all the way up and down the jetty. And then there was other families that were there crabbing, but they were using bait. They were using full chickens, it looked like, that was bigger than any crabs that I've ever seen come out. So I don't know what their expectations were. I don't know if they thought they were in the Bering Sea, but it was just one of those things. So it was crowded, and then to top it all off, they would throw theirs right directly in front of you. From 20 yards to your left, they would just throw it straight in front of you. I'm like, what are you doing? So
I love that. Hey, listen, I spent the first half of my life pier fishing, man. I mean, Pensacola, Moses Pier, Courthouse Road Pier. I did it all. But, man, you never know what you're going to get. Pier fishing is like a box of chocolate, isn't it?
It really is. We went earlier in the week. We did some after work fishing. I think it was Thursday night, and it was great. Weather was good, cloudy, had a nice little breeze, found a little hole with some speckled trout, and it was, they were all small, but it was fun. And then we tried to go back Saturday and do the same thing. Couldn't get in the exact spot because of the crabbing. And then the other people at the end, it's just weird. One day it's perfect. The next day it's pandemonium.
Well, look, you saw, I shared this with you, but my son Justin was in town from New York City. He's going to be here for a few days, and he had several friends here with him. They were here for a friend of his is going to be getting married, and they were here kind of enjoying some getting together. Came in from all over the country, but I took them. They went fishing Saturday, and they weren't planning to fish on Friday. But I got done with the show, and I went to a meeting at the Beau Rivage, and on the way back, I checked the weather and said, you know what, we ought to consider going. We didn't leave till like 11. We went off of Ship Island. We found literally acres and acres of red minnows, and they were just loaded with redfish and jacks, and saw tarpon. And we three times, we had 5 redfish on it at the same time, 3 different times.
I did see some of those videos. That's incredible. That's insane, actually.
It was, literally, you could have thrown a bear, hook into these schools and probably would have been able to catch them. But I told my son Justin this morning, I said, man, it was one of those moments where it's hard to sort of recreate that, because everyone was happy in the moment. They were high-fiving, and it was just terrific. Another great reminder, I do live in the moment, so I don't ever take this for granted, but another great reminder that living here in coastal Mississippi, this is literally paradise. And, that was just one of those great reminders. And hopefully I can take you and your son to go do that as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. The fishing, though, that fishing hole, that doesn't happen every time, does it? That's almost the equivalent of, shooting 112 on the golf course, but, eagle in the par 5 18th. You're like, yep, I'm going again.
Fishing's like that. That's why they call it fishing and not catching. It's like that. And you're right. From one day to the next.
Yep.
On Saturday they looked around for those schools and couldn't find them. It was interesting because once we found them, they went deep, and then I had them on the depth finder. You could see the schools of fish, and then you could see, think wicked tuna. When you hear dee dee dee,
right?
Where you could look and see the fish coming up. And there were several times when I just told them, don't do anything, just drop straight down. Just drop straight down, let it hit the bottom and work your jig coming back up again. It was like almost automatic. I mean, we had them marked deep. We could see them on the surface. It was just one of those incredible times. Really incredible.
That's crazy.
Hey, listen, yeah, I want to share with you. I got a note this morning from a friend of mine. We graduated from Gulfport East High School. His name is Michael Danke. And Michael went on to do some amazing things in his life, but I think it's like 26 or 27 years. He worked at the emergency room at Charity Hospital in New Orleans. And he became the head nurse, the head RN for the emergency room. Can you imagine what that looks like in New Orleans? But he was there during Hurricane Katrina. But he sent me a note that said that he watched in its entirety my show with the fire chief from Biloxi. And he said, he said, I related to his statement about his service and actions during Hurricane Katrina, one of the proudest moments of his life. And what Michael was saying was his time in New Orleans was the same thing. But Michael lives in Destin now, and he takes time to pay attention to what's happening here in coastal Mississippi. Gets a lot of the information to keep up with what's happening here through my show Coast Vue. And this show's been a great way to connect with people. Like, it's great when we get that feedback, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's not all the time you hear of people that move away for whatever reason, whether it's work or they want to just retire somewhere else or whatever the situation is, but they actually still keep in touch with everything that happens in their hometown through different media outlets. And it's great that they use this outlet as the way of keeping up with things. You don't always see that other places.
You don't. And, social media has really enabled us, though, to be able to reach out to people like that. So you hear it. I hear it on Facebook a lot. People send me, private messages a lot. They live all over the country, and they're following what's happening here through our show. So not only touching people here in coastal Mississippi, it's touching people who've had to move away, but still want that connection. They didn't have that. You have to get to watch the news, of course, but to have these long conversations about these people who are making a difference in coastal Mississippi, it's a great way to kind of know what's going on and see the specific individuals that are rising to the moment and doing really important things. It's great to see that. Hey, the other thing is Jeff Duncan, who is no longer with The Athletic now. He's actually back at NOLA.com at the Times-Picayune, the company that I had the opportunity to be president of at one point. And that's how I got to know Jeff. He's covered the Saints longer than anyone else on earth. He's on the Hall of Fame selection committee for the NFL. He's written the book on Drew Brees, and Sean Payton has done extraordinarily well. But we're lucky to be able to talk to him. He gave us last week the things we had to pay attention to in that game. But we had 6 turnovers in the game. I'm sure that absolutely made Sean Payton go crazy. But there were a lot of things to kind of look forward to too, man. That battle between Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. I didn't see a clear winner. If anything, maybe Taysom Hill looked a little bit sharper. But what was your read on that?
I only caught pretty much some highlights because I did go fishing, and I tried to record it. I just selected the wrong channel and it didn't record. But I did watch some highlights, and it almost seemed like, in my point of view, that's exactly who Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston were last season. They haven't really improved. So it's going to be, maybe it's just me and me expecting a lot more than, based on everyone's take on it and how Jameis should be able to do this and Taysom's going to be this. I just don't see it yet.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Of course, a lot of our stars are sitting on the sidelines for good reason, and we'll see with the shortened preseason game schedule. We'll probably see them kind of step it up next week, and then that third game is going to be really important. But here we are in the moment, and the Saints no longer have Drew Brees, and we're lucky enough to, every Friday on a weekly basis to visit with Jeff Duncan as we sort of break it all down. I think Jeff's done a great job of kind of giving us a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. But I do think that they're kind of neck and neck. Right now, I think they're kind of neck and neck. And, man, we saw some really good play from the defense. I think we're still concerned about the defensive backs and whether we're going to have enough depth there. But, boy, we got some linebackers coming along. We got some defensive linemen coming along. They were attacking the football. They seemed super fast. That was really good to see. So, we're getting close to Saints season again, and you're going to be back in the Superdome before you know it playing that music. And unfortunately, you were looking forward to having a sort of pandemic-free visit back to the Superdome, but here we are in the midst of Delta, and you're going to have to take that all into account as you go back to the Superdome, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll find out what it's going to be like coming Monday night for the first preseason game, and we have about 40 seconds left. Defensively, my take, I think we're going to be fine up front and defensive backs. I think, again, same situation, same thing every year. We're going to get burned at the corners. We're going to get burned on the deep ball just because of lack of preparation or just losing your mind for a second. I think the corners are going to be what hurts us again.
It's going to be interesting. Hey, when we come back, hopefully Lee Bond will be joining us, but we're going to talk just a little bit about the message that he's got for Coastal Mississippi. And if he doesn't join us, we'll continue on the conversation. We'll see you after this break.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. As I mentioned, we're hoping that Lee Bond, the executive CEO of Singing River Health Systems, is able to join us. But just before the show started, he got called into a meeting, and you can only imagine what these guys are having to deal with. It's truly remarkable, the leadership they're having to provide in this moment as the Delta variant continues to cause our healthcare professionals to have to go way, way beyond the call of duty. It's quite incredible. And until he joins us, or he may not be able to join us, that's fine. I'm going to be able to share some of the information that he was going to be able to share with us. But let's ask Kyle to come back into the conversation. And, Kyle, we're lucky in that we get an opportunity to visit with people like Lee Bond and Dr. Conger and, the Kent Nico over at Memorial Hospital and others, people, first responders that are going beyond the call of duty as we speak. But man, we're lucky in coastal Mississippi to have so many dedicated professionals. Their lives will never be the same again as a result of the pandemic. That is for sure.
No, this pandemic is going to be one of those landmark events like Katrina, where we've talked to so many people where Katrina shaped their careers and shaped their basically their whole trajectory of their life from that point on. And, there's some healthcare workers that are working in this pandemic that were a lot younger in their childhood during Katrina. So this is going to be that moment that's going to basically shape their future. And a lot of them are just headstrong into it, and they're going to do everything they can to make the best of it and do what they were trained to do, and that's help people. And, we've got to tip our hats to them.
I thought, I was looking, I'm going to pull it up here in just a second, but Jeannie Nico, who is married to Kent Nico at Memorial, she said, that the healthcare professionals are going beyond the call of duty. And she lists out, respiratory therapists and doctors and the custodians and all. I mean, I think that Conger does a good job of helping us remember that it takes a team of people to support these people, from the highest administrator, all the people through the administration, and then people on the medical side, and the people who are making sure that the rooms are clean and safe and making sure that it's germ-free as possible. They've just gone beyond the call of duty, and we're in a situation where we're lucky to have so many dedicated professionals ready to help us. And as Dr. Dobbs pointed out, it could be, Kyle, another, 6 to 12 weeks of this surge. And if you just do the math on exponential math, man, we're staring down some really, really difficult days ahead of us.
Yeah, I think the newest numbers today, I guess it's a 3-day total, just shy of 8,000 new cases in Mississippi. 52 new deaths over the weekend. So I'm guessing that includes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's still that's a large number. Yeah.
Yeah. The stats tell us that for every 1,000, probably somewhere over 300 are going to end up in the ICU. Or at least end up in the hospital, and then there's going to be a certain number of deaths for every 1,000. We're going to continue to see the exponential rise. Now, these are not the latest numbers. This is until last weekend. I'm assuming that they'll be posting numbers over the weekend for Singing River Health Systems, but Singing River Health Systems had 126 hospitalizations, 34 in the ICU, and 26 of the 34 were on ventilators. And you know what the statistics are for that? I mean, it's not good. Once you get on the ventilators, a lot of people don't, like 2/3 don't get off.
Right.
It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah. That's
average
scary.
age, Kyle, is 57 years old. And 95% of the people in the hospital now are unvaccinated. Now, of the people who are vaccinated in the hospital, the average age is 75. And what we've learned from Dr. Dobbs and the professionals is that the older you get, the more chances are that when you got the vaccination, the antibodies, did not build up properly. And that's why they're saying now that there may need to be, there should be a booster shot for certain people. But man, those are just devastating numbers. And we're seeing that play out all across Mississippi. In Jackson, they had to open up an ICU in the garage there adjacent to UMC. And then recently announced they're going to open up a second facility essentially to deal with the overflow. But, whew, man, the numbers just keep going up, and we keep learning of people that we know who are incredibly challenged, or dying, or dead, and it doesn't need to be. As Governor Reeves pointed out, this is a vaccination of, a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Right. And regardless, let's just not even weigh the option of to get vaccinated or get vaccinated. I guess the question really is, if you're not going to get vaccinated, you have to think that the chances of getting COVID are much higher. What are these people doing to stay safe if they're not getting vaccinated? Are they still social distancing? Are they wearing masks, or are they just living life like pre-COVID times? Because these numbers just suggest that no one's really taking any precautions.
Well, I think what's happening, though, I think the numbers, this is what I talked about on the Gallo show yesterday. I think the numbers are beginning to get the attention of people. I think it's a combination between knowing someone who's struggling or knowing someone who died, and beginning to see all these numbers start to stack up, that, what is now their vaccine hesitancy is moving from vaccine hesitancy / vaccine hostility to, wait a minute, I might better take a closer look at this. I can't help but thank our friend Cal Hatton, who answered my plea to, if you decided not to get the vaccine and then changed your mind, a little post I put at the Coast Vue site, let me know who you are. And I heard from a lot of people, Kyle, but a lot of these people would not let me use their name because they were afraid that they would be ostracized by their friends. But Kyle said, you can use my name. And the story he told was that he had been very compelled by all this information he'd been getting from these anti-vaxxers, et cetera, and finally decided to do his own research. And, what he concluded was that the downfalls of the vaccine were far outweighed by the negatives of getting COVID. So he decided to get COVID. Unfortunately, he waited too long. That very next day, he got a fever. He has asthma. He had to go get the infusion. And then his family started to get sick. Oh, man, it's tough. I mean, we hear it from Dr. Conger, the amount of bedside regret, people who wish they had gotten the vaccine and didn't. It's a tough situation we're in right now.
Yeah, it really is. And I've also found that, amongst the people that have decided to do their own research, a lot of times, from what I've seen, they get their research from the same bowl of Kool-Aid that they've been trying to put everybody else on. So it kind of really doesn't make sense. I guess it does in their mind, but I think that's the hardest part about the whole internet thing. And it's so hard to find unbiased research. It's really not. You just have to shape your mind to believing what you really don't want to believe.
Yeah.
These are the numbers. We're not making the numbers up. We're not trying to put a spin on it. These are the actual numbers.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Dave, who's sitting in for Gallo, who I visited with yesterday, he made a really good point that, when you're thinking about heart disease, or maybe you're having a heart attack, you don't go do research. You go see a doctor. So, the Facebook doctors and the internet doctors are not really the best people to go rely on at this point. If you have that serious of a doubt about it, then you probably ought to, get a call into your family physician and have a discussion with them, because, as I said so many times, I don't know if this is the actual number, but it's pretty close. 99% of the doctors on earth recommend the best way to fight the pandemic is to get the vaccination. And, one of the things, it struck me what Dobbs said the other day in the press conference with Governor Reeves. He said that, this is literally word for word, oh my gosh, what a colossal communications failure, because we allowed misinformation to drown out reality. Just saying that the misinformation is killing people. Boy, it's just out of control. But what I'm saying is, though, that there's a compelling case for action when it starts to hit closer to home. And that causes people to have a second thought about what they want to do. And you're seeing the vaccination numbers go up. That's the good news. It's just the problem is they're not going up fast enough. And unfortunately, the numbers continue to like spiral out of control for those who are getting it. That's just where we are right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. We got less than a minute left now. I really hate to see the numbers climb like this every day. In my mind, I think we have ways of combating getting COVID, and it just seems like there's more and more people that's not taking the precautions. We're seeing more and more schools closing. We had 2 more schools in Hancock County close for the next 14 days. They announced it yesterday, so there's 4 in Hancock County alone. I hope for the best. I hope everybody, if you don't want to one way or the other, stay safe. That's all,
Yeah, no doubt. Well, thank you. And listen to Lee Bond and his staff. Sorry he got hung up, but, we made the important point. Governor Reeves has asked for a tremendous amount of reinforcements in the medical community, and hopefully they can get some help in that regard. And we'll keep talking about it as long as there's someone out there who might listen and change their mind and protect themselves with what the doctors think are the best way to do that, and that is get the vaccination. Thank you, Kyle. And when we come back, we'll have Scott Waller from the Mississippi Economic Council. See you after this break.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter. Has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard. And,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest-moving, hardest-hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. Listen, I'm really sorry that Lee Bond wasn't able to join us. He got hung up in his meeting. He's the CEO for Singing River Health Systems. But, I congratulate him and his team and the teams of other medical facilities across the state who are just rising to the occasion as we continue to battle the Delta variant of COVID. Really, really tough time for the state of Mississippi. It is a vaccination. It is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. That is for sure. So anyway, we're going to shift gears now, move over to my friend Scott Waller, the president and CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council. Let me just first say good morning to you. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Good to see you. Now, look, we met a long time ago. I was a gigantic fan of Blake Wilson, who led that organization for 19 years. I was looking back at some of what he did in his career there. But William Yates said of him when he was retiring, he said that he was a force of nature and one of a kind. That is definitely true, isn't it?
Oh, without question. And I mean, I had the opportunity to work, basically there was a wall separating our two offices for almost 11 years with Blake, and it truly did. And, he still cares about this state. I have an opportunity I hear from him on occasion and try to talk to him every, 2 or 3 weeks just to see how he's doing. But, I will tell you back during, let's just use the flag campaign as an example. He was, MEC in 2001, when nobody else was really stepping out there, was the lead force on that. So when we actually were able to get the flag changed last year, I called him up afterwards. I said, look, you need to feel like you had as big a part in this as anybody did, because you started it. We finished it, but you started it. And, we really are very appreciative of all the work Blake did. We give him grief about being from Delaware, but, he really did care about our state.
He cared so deeply. I remember working with him on the various chamber boards that I was involved with, and I was one of the founding members of the Gulf Coast Business Council. But what I remember most, actually, as the president and publisher of the Sun Herald, is how much time and energy he put into coming by to visit with us and make sure we knew what the latest was. I mean, you never had the sense that he had an agenda other than helping Mississippi be the best it could be, and he just wanted to make sure we knew the latest, and he was really, really good at that. And I know you've done really well too. And as we were discussing off the air, you've had this opportunity to work with some amazing chairmen, haven't you?
Without question. I mean, two from the Gulf Coast in my short time here with William Yates and Anthony Wilson, and both have been just tremendous in helping guide this organization and continue to do so. MEC in the last few months has finalized and adopted a strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years, and both William and Anthony were extremely involved and part of that process as we got to that. So I mean, we're very fortunate to have great representation all across the coast with several other board members as well that have been very involved with us for a number of years and continue to be.
Well, it's a challenging time, that is for sure. But you know challenging times. I mean, you were a newspaper reporter for almost 20 years, I think. And you'd worked as business editor at Clarion Ledger, and you were the owner and editor of the Madison County Journal. You've seen your share of challenges along the way. But being a former journalist, I understand how you guys think. I was around journalists my entire career. It does give you kind of a leg up in a way when you're communicating with people to have that in your background, doesn't it?
It really does, because we were always taught to make sure we talk to both sides. In other words, what is the person that's for something saying? What is the person that's against something saying? And when you translate that to what we do at MEC from an advocacy standpoint, it's so valuable to be able to sit down and talk with state leaders, with legislators and others, and say, okay, here is why this matters. Now, here's what you're going to hear from the other side. Here's what they're going to say. But let me tell you from our perspective. So it really does give us that opportunity to look at it from a more, broader base, and not quite so much from the political side as much the practical side. And I think that's been one of the reasons that we have been successful through the years. And, you were talking about Blake a minute ago. Blake's a former journalist too. So, I mean, it's amazing the number of people that have some type of journalism in their background in our field, because it really is something that helps us get a better understanding for what we're working for.
Well, the MEC has a tremendous role. The Mississippi Economic Council has a tremendous role in strategically, in other words, looking to the future. What are going to be the opportunities for Mississippi? It's, when you do a strategic plan, it's not just about the opportunities, it's about what are some of the shortcomings and how do we overcome that. But, one of the things I talk about a lot on this show, and we whether it's business leaders or entrepreneurs or people like Steve Azar, who's just such an advocate for the culture and music scene in the state, is that the state of Mississippi too often doesn't really get the credit it deserves. We actually have a lot going for ourselves in terms of being a great place to live, work, and play. And as long as we stay focused on that and continue to do things that will improve that scene, that remote workers who have this choice to live anywhere, hopefully they'll choose us. But there's a lot more things we can do, and you guys are really focused on that, aren't you?
Well, we really are. And I think if you go back and look, even, when Blueprint Mississippi was first put in place, followed up, there was a kind of a second version. And then when I came on board, the board asked me to focus on, 2 or 3 key things. We did a report called Endeavor, which really was focused on workforce development. And kind of right now, the 3 areas where we're looking is, we'll talk more about this in a little while when we're talking about our meetings, but it's actually education and workforce development, because they go hand in hand. It's really our business climate. And finally, how do we deal with the brain drain issue? I mean, you got to call it what it is. I mean, brain drain, simply defined, is you're leaving one area to go somewhere else because you think there's a better opportunity. And I think where we've got to do a better job, and really we talked a lot about this in the process of forming our strategic plan, is we've got to be the one telling our story. We've got to be the one talking about promoting what's here, because we've learned if we don't tell our story, someone else is going to tell it for us, and chances are we're not going to like what they have to say, because it's not going to be from the same perspective that we have. And I think there's a lot of things that we've worked on through the years that really show this. And I will tell you, if you go back and look at some of the things that we've done through the years, and I'll bring up one in particular, and that's our transportation system. We felt like for us to really move forward as a state, we have to have a strong transportation infrastructure, and we also have to have a strong infrastructure in general. And we've seen a lot of progress on that front. I will tell you, just when the special session was held in 2018, maybe it wasn't a perfect piece of legislation, but we've got an additional basically $200 million going in every year through the sales tax diversion and lottery funds that will be moving over to that from a state level. And then, last week, the U.S. Senate passed the federal infrastructure plan, which unfortunately a lot of people are giving, people who voted for it a lot of flack. And I know Senator Wicker voted for it. But I mean, there's things in this that really will help Mississippi. We're talking about $3.3 billion that will go to the highways, an additional $225 million for bridges alone, because we still have over 1,300 bridges in the state that need fixing. But Rick, it also includes $100 million for broadband, and that's where you're talking about this new economy, these folks who can live anywhere they want to live. So how do we create the things from an infrastructure standpoint with broadband and other things that we do in our communities across the state to encourage people to say, hey, there's an opportunity right here for you to come in and be very successful, either setting up your own business, doing whatever from that perspective, or working here in the state of Mississippi in a variety of jobs that allows you to work at home.
Well, on the infrastructure bill specifically, I watched that unfold, and I was glad that they were able to reach some bipartisan conclusion. I understand that there are a lot of Republicans that voted against it, but there were a number that voted for it. And I was actually proud of Wicker for making his vote. I know that there are probably a lot of pieces of that he didn't like, but at the end of the day, his read on it was, we have to make more steps to find bipartisan solutions. In this case, we worked harder to do that. And second, when you evaluate what's going to come out of it and how it's going to come back to the state, as you pointed out really well just then, it's hard to vote against it. You can't sometimes just let your politics decide how you're going to vote. Sometimes you got to bring your individual ability to sort of analyze the situation and make the tough vote, even though you're going to get hit by it. I'm proud of Senator Wicker for making that vote.
Well, I'll tell you, and to your point, and again, we supported this and actually reached out to him and said, hey, please, we'd like to see you support this. And we are glad that he did. I will tell you, in my time as a newspaper person, and then really now in the last 15 years of being down in the trenches, there's no such thing as a perfect bill. And the bottom line is, what are you willing to live with or not live with? And I think in this case, you're right. There's a couple of things in there that we would all had rather seen go a different way, but we got it passed, and there's some really good stuff in there, and we really appreciate that.
We're going to talk more about the roundtable discussions you guys are having, and we'll just kind of pick it up from there when we come back. But this is our friend, the executive director from the Mississippi Economic Council, Scott Waller, and we'll see you after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We're having a conversation with Scott Waller from the Mississippi Economic Council. And Scott, it's so interesting that when you think about what it takes to be successful from an economic development point of view, man, you got to hit on a lot of cylinders. Infrastructure is key. Legal environment is key. Education is key. Workforce development. We can't do more. We can't do enough of that. By the way, the community college system in the state of Mississippi is something to be big time celebrated. The work that they're doing across the state is just truly incredible. But we were chatting just a bit about broadband during the break, and many of my guests have sort of referred to it in this way. But there probably is no single thing we can do that will improve our opportunities to fix certain areas of the state, et cetera, than broadband access. Man, it unleashes incredible power for our community, doesn't it?
It really does, and I'm excited about where we're headed with that. And again, you know, our legacy companies, the traditional, you know, commercial companies have been involved in it for a number of years. But, you know, typically from a rural perspective, it takes something else in order to be able to get to that. And in certain parts of the state, whether it's certain parts of the 6-county coastal area, where there's the Delta, you know, being able to get it to places where there's not masses of people is equally important. And I will tell you, I will be going to DC for the first time in almost a year and a half next month, provided, you know, things allow us to do so. But the last time I was up, and I actually had a chance to sit down and visit with our delegation, I will tell you, Senator Wicker in particular was without question focusing on how do we make sure we're connected. You know, broadband was something that was very important to him, and I think when we were talking about the infrastructure bill earlier, you know, that's a piece of that puzzle. That's a piece of the infrastructure. You know, we didn't even mention the fact that, you know, airports, water infrastructure, ports, and for the coast in particular, both the port and, making sure that you have the ability to bring in tourists from the airport perspective. All those are important. But when it comes to connectivity and making sure that we have the ability for people who live here to have access to, whether it's run a business, create a business, whatever the case may be, the connectivity is so important. And I think having that as one of the ways of getting some things done is tremendous. So from what the legislature did in passing the bill that allows our electric cooperatives to start putting in broadband, to now the funding that came through the CARES Act, and now the funding that will be available through the infrastructure bill, we're starting to see, I think, some tremendous steps forward in connecting all of Mississippi, which is key for growing our economy.
Yeah, the amount of money that Mississippi has to invest in its future at this current moment is the most we've ever had, and at any time, and probably I mean, God forbid another situation like the pandemic would occur to cause us to have to think about this again. But we'll maybe never see this amount of money, and hopefully we can wisely spend it. Okay, we're recording this show on Monday, I should point out. So on Tuesday, which is the day this show airs, the MEC is doing their MEC Tour Roundtable. You've always done a good job at this, of traveling the state and listening to business leaders across the state. It's really important to you, isn't it?
It really is. And this year with COVID, we wanted to take some extra precautions. We think it's important to do so. Normally we have a large meeting that's a luncheon, and we have a program that we present information. We get some feedback through electronic voting. And we did not feel comfortable doing that. We thought we needed to keep these in very small settings. We're using rooms large enough to space out when we can, and all of the things to take precautions from COVID. But it's changed what we're doing, and I think it's changed it for the better. Now, this wouldn't be effective every time we went out on the road, but we're having smaller groups, 12 to 15, in some cases even a little smaller than that. And we do 3 sessions per day in each of the areas that we go to. So we'll be in Harrison County Tuesday. In fact, when the show is airing, we'll be holding our first session, and then we'll have 2 more after that. That we are actually bringing in leaders that have helped identify through the chamber and our partners on the coast to really do more of a focused session. Instead of me doing all the talking, I do all the listening. I sit down, we have a moderator, and we got the 3 key issues I talked about earlier: workforce, education, workforce development, business climate, and then retaining and attracting talent. Those are the key issues but you know what? They're all intertwined. And
they are.
Is there's so many facets to it. I mean, think about workforce for just a second. One of the elements in workforce is childcare. If you don't have somewhere that you feel comfortable having your child to allow you to go to work, it's very hard for you to be in the workforce. So there's so many things that we're looking at, and what this is going to allow us to do is look at commonalities across the state, and we'll have a report on what we've learned. We're in 18 different communities in these 3 sessions. So it really is going to give us an opportunity to look at it from a statewide perspective and a community's perspective. And I think that is really going to help us in our next steps of determining what our public policy initiatives really need to be.
Well, Scott Walker, President and CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council, let's visit again in a couple of weeks, and you can share with us what you're learning on your tour and how it's going to create alignment around these unbelievable opportunities in our future. Holy mackerel. And thank you for your leadership with the MEC.
Well, thank you, Ricky. I appreciate your time today.
It's been my pleasure. Anyway, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook, facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.